Hello friends, this is Devson. This is the next part of the previous video building a sleek animated landing page. So let's move to the video.
So the last chapter was button showcase. Now we are going to create a new component which is testimonials. So go to the components and create testimonials.tsx, and like you know the ritual, first create a function and add it to the page under the button showcase. Add testimonials, import it from components folder, wrap it. Let's code this component. So first you know that section, and we are going to add some minimal animations in this component. So in order to do that, we want Framer Motion and I guess GSAP. We'll see that. First create the basic boilerplate, which is py20, like you know that, and overflow x clip, and this div is a container type, and mx auto, and this div should flex and flex column, item center, and y-axis gap is 5. I think 5 should enough. Okay, and now let's create the animation. So in order to do that, first we need some imports, which is from Framer Motion. We need use scroll from Framer Motion, motion, because we need to render motion divs, that's why we need motions, which is also from Framer Motion, and we need use transform, it's also from Framer Motion. Okay, and I also give you the assets, so don't worry about that. So first const need to create a section ref, which is it basically means a section reference. We need use ref from React components, from React, which is going to be initially null. Then we need to create a use scroll, a progress scroll bar, y progress scroll y progress, which comes from use scroll. Inside that, first we need to set the target, which is equal to section ref, and we need to declare the offset. It basically the range, it should start from start to end and end to start. Okay, and we also need one thing, which is translate y, use transform. We need that scroll y progress and set the range 0 to 1 for the y-axis, and 150 to minus 150 for the x-axis. Okay, and first don't forget to declare it use client, otherwise it will throw an error. Use client, and pass this in the section, which is ref, section ref. And look, I'm not going to write all the codes because it will just waste your time. Like, there is a paragraph should render. I'll just simply bring it from here like that. Need to import this. Let's see the output first. Okay, you can see that. You can name it like testimonials. Okay, so change it to testimonials. You can name it anything like testimonials. Testimonials. Okay, fine. It looks sleek, cool. And look, I'm going to teach you how to write code more efficiently and like more organizedly. So in order to do that, we need a constant file. Let's create a constant folder in the src. Let's create a constant. This is how you like organize your code so easily. Data.ts, okay, and let's just bring it. Okay, just paste it here. Okay, so this is basically the type of the testimonials, the parameters which going to receive like a username. It has a username and designation, a text. It's just a nothing. It's a basic TypeScript, and these datas we are going to render on our UI. Okay, so this is pretty simple. I think we should change this to constant. Okay, and go to the testimonials, and we need to create first like a testimonials row in order to like showcase the data as a row. Okay, so first we're going to create a testy row, testy row tsx. Just bring the testy row, don't need to write all the codes. Like I said, I'm not going to write all the code. Just try to understand the code I'll teaching you. Okay, just try to understand by yourself. You can take help from ChatGPT. After this div, render another div, which is the class name flex column, item center, span, font, copyins, and class name. I mean text is 5xl for the smaller devices, text center, and for the medium devices the text size should be 7xl. Okay, font black. Okay, cool. So loved by, and then another span. Inside this span we'll write developer, and inside this span render a p tag and write c. You can pass any statement, or you can copy my statement also. Community is saying about. Okay, see the output. Okay, just need to style it a bit. Okay, don't worry. Text access md text lg empty to font should mono text center. Okay, looks cool. Font medium. Sorry, this thing should place here. Okay, this looks pretty cool. Now let's create the testimonials files. Okay, so under this div render another div give it a class name, and it should be relative first, then height 500 px for larger screens, the width 1300 px for the largest screen, the height 500 px, overflow hidden. We'll add some masking, like mask image linear gradient. Right to it started from right transparent, transparent, black. I think 70% is a good amount. Then left black, I think 10%. I don't know. Let's see. And it's also transparent. It's also transparent. At the next masking, mask, repeat, no repeat, mask size 100% to 100%, mask size 100% to 100%, padding x-axis should 6 for the largest screen, the padding x-axis should be 12, it should flex, and flex column for the smaller screens, the gap should be 12. Okay, so just copy these things, no need to write if you already know the styling, so don't waste your time to write this styling. Okay, then just render the testimonials data just by calling the testy row, and inside that the testy row accepts a data, which is obviously we are passing the testimonial data, the testimonials, which is comes from the types, basically the constant.ts, like we render this data. Okay, we're going to render this data. Let's see the output. You can see that I need to change this. I think there's some issue. Okay, let's see. And under this testimonials components also render also accept another parameter, which is an optional parameter, but if you want you can use that, which is a reverse. Okay, so I think there's some problem with this styling. Let's just bring the styling. Okay, now I can see it looks like pretty dope. Okay, so this chapter is completed. Now it's time to add this code, upload this code in the GitHub. So you know the ritual. First, make a branch. So last branch was 04, so 05 testimonials. Okay, create a branch, stage the changes, write a message, uh, testimonials, uh, commit, publish the branch, go to your GitHub, go to Fingai homepage, pull the request, create a pull request, merge pull request, confirm the merge, And yep, all set. Come back to your code and merge all the code into the main. Go to this main and sync all the code. And yep, all set. So I did a mistake basically. I forgot to render the animation. So don't worry, just hang on with me. Just under this create a motion div, motion.div, okay, and inside that, sorry, motion.image, and inside that render src. It's basically 3 png dot 3 3d dot src. Okay, alt, you can give any name, width 262, height it's also 262, the style translate y, remember we made that, translate y, and class name, it is hidden for the smaller devices and visible for the larger devices. Absolute, that's why we made this relative. You can also make this div, make the parent div relative. Okay, and minus right, basically we place the animated components, right 32, and minus top 2, like you can see that. Just see the parallax effect. So this chapter is completed. Now we're going to create another component, which is work. So let's create this work.tsx, another ritual. Don't forget to write the use client. Okay, so in this component we are going to use skipper motion. So first section, I'm so sorry, section, and a div, another div, write the boilerplate 20 overflow clip, and this is container mx auto, this is flex column, flex column, item center, and gap y is 5. Great. So render the same thing, render this thing inside this div, and do what the fuck, okay, don't forget to import this file inside page, which is work comes from components. See the output, okay, you can see that. Now change the statement, I like how it works, how how it works, okay, how it works, okay, sorry, how it works. Okay, so outside this div render another div, under this give it a class name flex column item center, and render a span. Inside this span, first give it a class name, font should be Poppins, and capitalize text center, sorry, text center. For medium size devices, the text size should be 6 action, font black. Okay, so you can render any statement. I'll go with that simple process. Render a space outside this, but inside the span, render another span and give it a class name. For the dark mode, the text color should be amber 200, and for the light mode, the text color amber 300. Beautiful. Outside this span, and it's done. And outside the span, the parent span, render a p tag and write customize components just like you want with and render a space and inside this span, inside this p tag, render a span and write Tailwind CSS and style it with text blue 400. Okay, now see the output. Okay, this looks cool. So now first go to your browser and go to Skipper UI. Basically, you can just copy the URL and go to exact in this URL. And first there's a disclaimer, which is Skipper UI recently updated their website and they just removed the previous components. So I think now we are using this component. So first you have to install a dependency. Just copy this and go to your terminal and paste it. I'll already installed this, so now I'm not going to install the dependency. So you can just go through the documentation. Here you can see the use case. So first you have to create a custom carousel. Custom caro.tsx. Okay, first import this from UI, from Skipper, right, and this like this, and create a image array. Inside the array there's some objects src, src and alt. Okay, we're going to add the path later on. First create the custom carousel. Here we are going to render the carousel 001. It is going to accept some parameter, which is first is image. Yes, image, and next just copy those values and from assets, images, and let me see, we're going to add this first. Let's see. Okay, just add this component to work. You can add it here. Custom Caro. Now there is hardly show any images, but okay, we'll fix it. I think the issue with this issue is basically the path. Let's change the path. Okay, you can see this. Just add all the paths. This is 3. This is 4. Not going to render this. Okay, this looks cool. Not that bad. I think if there is some more objects, then it will be fine. Okay, yes. So render more than 4 objects, otherwise it will just render a glitch. Okay, this page looks sleek. Now you can just play with the values, just change this and see the differences. Okay, if you want to explore this component, you can do that. So now the ritual is we're going to upload this code in the GitHub. Let's create a branch 6 work, stack the changes, commit message, work, commit, go to your GitHub, pull request, create a pull, I think at this point you guys familiar with this process. And go back to your project, select the main branch and sync the changes. Yep, all set. So here move to the next chapter. So first create a component link.tsx rfce and add this to the page under the work. Link comes from component slash link. Okay, in this link we are going to render a skipper UI. First write the boilerplate, py20 overflow xclip container mx auto and flex column item center. Under this, first render a p tag. I'm just gonna bring the code. Also you can make another component of it. I'm going to change the statement. Okay, cool. Under this div, render another div and give it a class name flex flex column item center, and so go to a browser and search for Skipper UI and go to this link. You can copy the URL and you can check the documentation, but we'll go to the source code and copy this entire code and come back to your project and go to the components slash UI slash Skipper UI, make a component rolled up rolled up text dot tsx and paste the entire code and make a custom components in the components, um, rolled up custom rolled up dot tsx. Okay, first declare it, use client and rfce, and first of all import this from UI and Skipper UI and rolled up text. Okay, then next open a empty fragment. Inside this, first we need to declare a array const items, array. Inside this array there's some objects. Okay, so just go to the rolled up text and copy this thing. You can customize the array, just copy this thing, change it items, and you can change it LinkedIn, Discord, Instagram, like that, like you get my point. Okay, and Facebook. Okay, so now the array is ready. Now open a curly braces, inside this items dot map, and this is pure JavaScript, and we'll do explicit return, and inside this render text role. Inside the text role data dot name, and as a key we'll pass data dot name also, data dot name. Okay, and go to your link, and inside this custom rolled up. Okay, you can see that need some styling like text 2 XL, and for the medium devices text 7 XL, and color text black, and for the dark mode color text white. Add some margin from top. Okay, looks cool. I think we need more margin. Okay, this looks cool. Okay, I think 9 looks pretty much cool. Okay, so you can add more links. Go to custom rolled up, open this, and dribble or Twitter Okay, so go to your link and just add, just cut the py and add pb20. Okay, okay, you can add some svgs over here. Okay, so this is the assignment. Okay, just try it by yourself. Let's just change the font should be opens, my favorite font, opens, and font black. Yo, not black, extra bold, not extra bold. Look, look at that. So this chapter is also completed. Okay, so you can add some svgs like I said, and add some pngs like 3D pngs. You can add by yourself. So try it and upload this code in the GitHub. Make a new branch 07 and link, stage the changes 07, link, commit, and publish the branch. Go back to your GitHub. Go to the repo and pull the request and merge, confirm merge, come back to your project and the main branch and sync the changes. And also,
Okay, so the next chapter is FAQ. So in order to do that, first make a component which is FAQ.tsx and declare it use client, and another ritual, add this in the page under this link FAQ, which is comes from component.faq. Inside this, first write the boilerplate section. Inside this div, another div py20 overflow x clip. This div is container and mx auto, and this is flex column item center and gap y5. Okay, so we'll first uh, do something for the animation because we render some animation here in this page. So first make a section ref, the initial value is null, and you did the same thing in the previous chapter. So it did the same thing, don't need to write all the codes. Actually, just let me bring the code. Uh, where I made the thing, I don't remember actually. It's in the button showcase. No, it's in the testimonials, I guess. Yeah, this thing basically. Just copy this thing. It's just the same thing. Okay, so just import those things from Framer Motion and change this value to 150 to 350. Okay, cool. And just import the motion for now because we'll use it later on. And pass this ref. Yep. And inside this, we'll render a p tag, which is basically this one. Import this thing and change it to FAQ. FAQ. Okay. And after this, render another div, name it flex, flex column, item center. Inside this, open a span and you can pass any statement. render a space between those sentences. A class name, which is text 4XL for the smaller devices. For medium-sized devices, the text is 7XL, sorry, 7XL, and text center, font black, text font black, and font opens. Okay, so after this, open another span and write no. Add a class name. For dark theme, text color is amber 200, and for the light theme, text color amber 200. And after this whole span, open a p tag and write anything you want. Basically, quick insights before you dive in. Add a class name, font mono, text access. Okay, this text adjust. Okay, text access for the smaller devices, and for the larger devices, it's text LG, text center, and add up empty 2. Empty means margin top. Okay, look at that. Looks so good. Okay, so after this div, open another div and basically we're going to render some FAQ questions. To do that, we'll add some data in our constant folder, constant file. Okay, so let me just bring those questions. So go to your constant.ts and paste it those questions. You can get this from my source code. Okay, so this FAQ accepts has two uh, property, which is a question and answer. We're going to render this questions in our UI. So in order to do that, first make a custom component which is FAQ cards.tsx. Okay, don't forget to write use client, use client, and okay, look, just bring the code. Okay, so this property basically accepts data. You're going to pass that. So inside this div, first add a style, add a class name, which is first flex column, max width, XL max, MX auto, justify center, PX5 for the smaller devices, and no need any padding X from the larger devices. Inside this, render the card, FAQ cards. This thing accepts a data, which is basically data, which is basically FAQ. It comes from constant.ts. Okay, so okay, look at that. This looks so cool. Okay, go back to your project. After this div, render a motion image, motion.img. It's a self-closing, and open ISRC. Inside that, 3D PNG. It refers to 3D PNG actually. It's nothing. And dot src. Alt, you can write anything. Width should be 262 and height should be 262. Class name. This basically image is hidden for the smaller devices and visible for the larger devices. This is absolute type, and we'll place it in the right 32, and in the top it's top 2. And don't forget to write the style and translate y. Okay, so this is basically the range. This is basically the range from the y-axis, it's 0 to 1, and from the x-axis, 350 to minus 350. Okay, so it's basically the PNG image is moving around those values. Okay, so copy this and make another motion image and just okay. So make this one and make this one to 2. Okay, okay. Sorry. Make this parent diff relative. Okay, you can see that. Sorry. This should be left 20, and from the bottom, this is 24. Okay, you can look at that. Let's see the parallax effect. This looks so cool. Okay, so go back to your project and it's time to push your code, make it 09 FAQ, commit changes, go back to your GitHub, merge your code, come back to your project and sync the changes to the main. Okay, so there's an assignment for you basically. So look, this is the actual project, and I'm not going to make this and this pages, but so I'm going to make this project in this page, okay? Because this thing is a bit difficult, so I'm going to make this one. So this is basically pretty simple pages, so just try it by yourself. Okay, so let's start code this. So first, go to your components, make footer.tsx. So let's code this footer. So in order to do that, first we need some dependencies. So clear this terminal and paste this. You can copy this. This is actually npm react 3. This is basically 3JS. We're going to render 3D components. The globe is basically a 3D components. Okay. So in order to render 3D components, we need 3JS. And in 3JS is working with the React 3 Fiber and React 3 Tray while we're working on the frameworks. Okay. Okay. So make a RFC first and add this on the page under this FAQ. Go to the footer. First, we render the 3D object. So make a function which is um, globe, create a mesh ref, use ref. It's first import 3 from 3JS, use asterisk It refers to, I mean, render everything inside the tree. Okay, so tree dot mesh initial value is null. Uniform use ref inside this u times values initially 0 u color. These values are basically for the GLSL. GLSL is another language which is a pure math thing. No need to understand uh, core GLSL language. Just bring the code. Okay, so after this, use frames. Used frame is from React Fiber tree. Sorry, React 3 tree from React 3 tree. Use frame. I'm sorry, this is comes from React 3 Fiber. Okay, use this here. Uniforms dot current dot utime dot value is equal to state dot clock dot get selected time elapsed time. Sorry. Uniforms dot current dot ucolor dot value is equals to math dot sign state dot clock dot elapsed time plus 1 divided by 2 and return a mesh. Inside this, first pass the reference, which is mesh ref, and rotation inside the array 0 0.4, 0 0.6, and 0. Inside this, render a 3D component, which is I guess this one. Yeah, no, not this one. Yeah, this one. And pass the arguments inside the array 3.2 and 40. Inside this, render a shader material. Basically, every 3JS components need a material which could be shader material, uh, any kind of normal material, but we'll pass shader material because we're going to use shaders. Shaders basically Like I said, GLSL. It's proper GLSL. Shader material. It has two types. First one is vortex material, and second one is fragment material. Vortex material is manipulate the vortexes, basically the coordinates value, and the fragment material manipulates the color. Okay, so in the vortex shader, we'll pass it later on. Don't worry, I'll give you the code. And in the uniforms, pass uniform dot current, and in the side, 3 dot double sided, because any 3D components, any 3D object has two-sided. So two sides, flat shading and wireframe true. Okay, this throws an error. Okay, so just initially add a TS ignore. Okay, so go to my source code and copy those vortex and fragment shaders. Okay, so bring those things and paste it here and pass inside the vortex shader, pass vortex shader, and inside the fragment shader, pass fragment shader. So like I said, these are pure maths. So this vortex shader manipulates the coordinates of the 3D object. So that's why the components is like distorted. And the fragment shader is manipulating the color of the component. So it's pure math. Just don't try to understand this thing because this is so complicated. If you want to, you can, but my suggestion is don't try to understand this. Just go to ChatGPT and just pull this thing. Okay, so now inside the footer, make a ref, use ref null, and a scroll y progress, use scroll from framer motion, set a target, set a target, ref, offset, start to end, and center to center. Y use transform scroll progress 100%, 0%, opacity, use transform scroll y progress 0, 0.5, 1, and 0, 1, and 1. So this is the same thing. Inside this, write the boilerplate, div, first pass the ref, which is ref basically, and pass a class name py10 relative overflow x clip bg lab. A class name container mx auto flex column item center cap y5. Okay, inside this render another div and render a canvas. Canvas comes from React 3 Fiverr. Basically, any 3D components is rendered inside a canvas. Okay. Canvas is basically a playground, and in the center of the playground, we are rendering the 3D objects, and we are adding some lights to the play in the playground. So the 3D objects is basically visible in front of everyone. You can say ambient light, like I said, will add some light in the playground in order to visible the 3D object which is present in the center. Directional light, and lastly the globe, which is basically this thing, the globe. And orbit control, we need to import this orbit control from React 3.3. React 3.3 orbit control. Orbit control is basically used for move the 3D object. Orbit control and enable the zoom. So you can see that really there is a 3D object. I can move that. Okay. So let's style this properly. So you can see that the globe is now looks so cool. And after this canvas, we'll render a motion div. Inside this motion div, we'll render some p tags. We'll render some p tags, one and one. First one is join the thing developer community, and second one is let's build a future together. Okay, now it's time to style this thing. First, style the pass the y and the opacity style, basically these two animations, and class name absolute border white. No, sorry, absolute inset. First inset 0 flex column item center justify center font medium text 4XL for the larger devices text 6XL font Poppins. Okay, look at that. You can see the animation, right? Okay. You can see the animation. So after this motion div and this div, render another div, a class name, flex, flex column, md, flex row, justify between, full. Okay, so look, so this thing is basically the toughest thing. So, and after the footer is basically nothing. Okay, so I'm just bring the code. Okay, okay, so look at that. Look at that. Okay, this looks so cool, man. So cool. So now it's time to make a new branch and push all the codes. The branch 10 and footer, create the branch, save the changes, 10 footer, commit, push the branch, go back to your GitHub and pull the request, create a pull, create the merge and go back to your main branch, sync all the changes and all set. So look at the final output. You can change a lot more things. You can improve the UI like you want. So I think you guys lot to know more about Next.js and how to make this kind of sleek websites. So let's try it out by yourself and so bye bye. See you in the next video.